Are you looking for a way to restore your garden's natural fertility without relying on chemical fertilizers or expensive synthetic inputs? If so, this video is for you. Regenerating soil health is about helping the earth, water, and plants reclaim their inherent balance. First, we must restore the soil structure to let it breathe, and then nourish the life within using resources already available in your own backyard. Here is how you can get started. The primary stage involves soil structure restoration. The objective of this phase is straightforward: to create stable pore spaces where water, air, plant roots, and microorganisms can coexist. Most degraded soil suffers from heavy compaction, which prevents oxygen from reaching the root zone, ultimately weakening both plant roots and essential microorganisms. At this stage, you should avoid using a tiller. Aggressive tilling disturbs the natural soil horizons and ruptures the delicate networks of symbiotic fungi underground. Instead, a manual spiking or probing method is highly recommended. To do this, use round iron stakes or construction rebar with a diameter of approximately 8 to 12 millimeters. Drive the stake vertically into the ground to a depth of about 20 to 30 centimeters. Once the stake has reached the desired depth, gently wiggle the handle to open a small cavity below before pulling it out. It is crucial that you do not pry the soil upward or flip it over. Simply create the channel and allow the soil structure to remain intact. These small fissures act as direct conduits for oxygen and water to reach the deep root layers, effectively awakening the dormant aerobic microbial systems within the soil. After creating the fissures, the next step is to stabilize the structure using natural minerals. If left untreated, these newly formed gaps will quickly collapse under the natural compression of the soil and rainwater, nearly returning to their original. Therefore, immediately after opening the fissures, it is essential to reinforce the soil structure at the exact points of intervention to ensure long-term stability. One effective method is to utilize homemade bone meal, a readily available mineral source that is often overlooked in daily life. You can collect bones from beef, pork, or poultry from your kitchen, rinse them thoroughly to remove any remaining meat or fat, and then roast them directly over a fire until they are completely dry and brittle. This roasting process not only makes the bones easier to crush, but also stabilizes them, reducing odors and preventing anaerobic decomposition once they are in the ground. Once cooled, use a hammer, stone mortar, or a heavy object to crush them into a coarse powder, as a fine grind is not necessary. In this application, bone meal acts as a natural mineral reinforcing agent that strengthens the soil from within. The phosphorus content stimulates the development of young roots, particularly in areas where they have newly gained access to oxygen and space within the created fissures. Meanwhile, the calcium helps regulate soil acidity and enhances the bonding between soil particles, making the soil structure more resilient and less prone to becoming waterlogged or sticky after heavy rains. By combining these two elements, the soil can maintain a stable shape internally rather than merely showing surface level improvement. To finish, simply sprinkle the bone meal directly into the fissures without the need for mixing or tilling. The minerals will gradually dissolve into the surrounding environment, reaching the plant roots and microorganisms in the most natural way possible. Finally, prepare the biochar. You can utilize charcoal derived from natural wood, breaking it into small fragments, ranging from half a centimeter to 2 centimeters in size, large enough to maintain their internal structure, yet small enough for easy handling. The defining characteristic of biochar is its highly porous nature. These countless microscopic pores act as permanent dwellings for beneficial microorganisms and fungi. Once integrated into the soil, these charcoal pieces prevent recompaction over years of cultivation, even under the pressure of heavy rainfall or frequent foot traffic. However, at this specific stage, you should only prepare the charcoal and keep it aside, rather than applying it to the soil immediately. This is because dry charcoal tends to aggressively absorb surrounding moisture and nutrients, which could cause temporary dehydration in plant roots if introduced too early. Consequently, the biochar must first undergo biological activation to ensure its pores are pre-filled with microbes and essential minerals. Only then can it truly fulfill its role as a sustainable storage framework for soil life in the subsequent phases. Once the physical structure of the soil has been cleared and stabilized, allow the ground to rest for a short interval of about 2 to 3 days before transitioning to the second stage, constructing the biological ecosystem. This phase is not about conventional fertilization. Instead, it focuses on breathing life into the newly prepared soil framework so that the land can begin to function autonomously. By introducing vitality at this stage, you enable the soil to operate as a self-sustaining system, capable of nourishing itself and the plants within it. The first step is to create a microbial solution derived from wild weeds. Since all life begins with water, selecting the right source is crucial. You should avoid using tap water directly, as the residual chlorine can kill beneficial microorganisms. Rainwater or well water is the ideal choice. However, if you must use tap water, let it sit in an open container for about 48 hours to allow the chlorine to evaporate completely. Once you have a clean water source, begin gathering various weeds from your garden. Different plants offer distinct benefits. Goosegrass or Kogon grass provide silica to strengthen plant structures. Spanish needles and wild legumes provide nitrogen and potassium, while goatweed or nutgrass offers essential micronutrients and natural antibacterial compounds. Chop this mixture of weeds finely and place it in the water container, along with a handful of clean wood ash to balance the pH levels. Seal the container tightly and let it ferment for 10 to 14 days. Once the weeds have fully decomposed, you will have a concentrated microbial tea that is ready to nourish the soil. At this stage, you will use the solution to activate the pre-prepared biochar. Submerge the biochar completely in a container of microbial tea, allowing it to gradually absorb water, microorganisms, and minerals deep into its porous structure. In this state, the biochar functions much like a sponge, but a living one. This activation step is crucial. If dry biochar is introduced directly into the ground, it will compete with the plant roots by stripping moisture from the soil. Once properly activated, however, the biochar transforms into a safe sanctuary for microorganisms and serves as a long-term reservoir for essential nutrients. Next, sprinkle the activated charcoal into the previously created aeration fissures and lightly cover them with a layer of topsoil to protect the microorganisms from direct sunlight. These charcoal fragments now serve as a permanent structural framework, establishing a network for air and nutrient circulation deep within the ground. You will find this material to be incredibly versatile. It functions as a moisture reservoir for the roots, prevents the soil from recompacting after heavy rains, and acts as a natural nutrient bank that releases elements gradually based on the plant's specific needs. Thanks to the durable structure of the charcoal, the microbial ecosystem gains a safe, enduring habitat where it can thrive for decades without being washed away. This ensures your land maintains stable fertility over the long term, eliminating the need for any further chemical fertilizers. Finally, to protect and nourish the newly formed ecosystem, it is essential to establish a multi-layered cover using deep mulching techniques. For the first layer, use old, unprinted cardboard sheets to completely cover the ground. This serves both to suppress weed growth and to create a dark, moist sanctuary that invites earthworms to take up residence. Over the cardboard, spread a layer of green organic matter, such as fresh kitchen scraps or grass clippings, to provide a boost of nitrogen, which accelerates the decomposition process. To finish, apply a thick layer of brown organic material, such as straw, dried leaves, or sawdust, to supply a steady source of carbon for microorganisms. Over time, the synergy between moisture and microbial activity will transform these layers into a precious organic substance known as humus. This humus acts as a specialized biological glue that binds soil particles together, retains vital nutrients, and forms a protective buffer that keeps the soil cool and moist, regardless of scorching sun or torrential rain. As this layer thickens, you will witness a true transformation. Your land will evolve from a barren patch into a vibrant, living ecosystem capable of sustaining plant life with minimal human intervention. All of these soil restoration methods are based on a shared fundamental principle: zero tillage and the preservation of natural soil horizons. Instead of employing heavy-handed interventions, You simply need to observe and replenish the mulch layer whenever necessary. What the soil truly requires is room to breathe and a vibrant internal ecosystem. Once these conditions are restored in the proper sequence, the soil will naturally nourish your plants with peak vitality. I encourage you to apply these techniques in your own garden and share the results with others if you find them helpful. Alternatively, if you have any unique experiences or interesting methods of your own, please leave a comment so we can all learn from the wisdom of your garden. Catch you in the next one.